don't get it in quick, I call timeout. Referee looked right at me, ignored me. Went into Tyrese, I called timeout again. Then the melee started, and yeah, I mean, I guess I got to run out onto the floor or do something to make sure and get his attention, but I needed a timeout there to advance it. Would have been good, but couldn't get it.
Unacceptable. I mean, Tyrese got fouled, a couple of times. We just had the same thing happen against Miami with Tyler Hero. That's just unacceptable to, put us in that situation. That's fucking unacceptable. To lose a game like this, especially in the playoffs.
So 13 seconds left. The Knicks up by 1. Maxey goes, drives, watch Isaiah Hartenstein comes in with a huge block there, Chiney.
Yeah, this was huge. Tied his playoff career high, and that is the quintessential way that the New York Knicks win. They make hustle plays, they make you believe, they knock down shots, and they play every possession.
They have one more shot. Tyrese Maxey to Joel Embiid. Long three. Can't quite get it to go. Dante DiVincenzo fired up. It was a vibe for New York.
Can you walk me through how you guys are able to pull that off?
I mean, listen to this. This is what we do. This is who we do it for.
Hearing that reception in the Garden, I literally have goosebumps listening to that. And Perk, you've given us thousands of words over the last 3 years of NBA Today. You've given us thousands of words about the Knicks season. You've given us words that aren't even real words. But right now, I just want one word. What is your word of the day, my friend, for New York?
Dang, Zach, that tickled your fanny? Huh?
Leave my fanny out of it.
Here it is.
I think it's fancy.
Yeah, it's fancy, please.
Usually I go French, may go Spanish. Today, it's just Hart, okay? It's Hart. It's Hart. H-A-R-T. That's Joshua Aaron Hart. Okay, we're talking about a guy that was drafted in 2017, right? To the Utah Jazz, traded to the Lakers, the 30th overall pick. We're talking about a guy that won a national championship in 2016 with Villanova, who has been the best player for the New York Knicks because Jalen Brunson has been struggling. Right now, he's averaging right around 21 points a game. Right now, he's also averaging 14 rebounds a game at 6'4". Josh Hart has been the heart and soul of this team. He's been the motor. He's been picking them up. He's been the sole reason why they've been winning, especially why Big Body Brunson has been struggling.
Yeah.
And I know y'all wanted some type of fancy word today, but damn it, I had to keep it simple. And as simple as that, Hart.
Josh Hart, you know what Josh Hart is? He's a freaking basketball player. The guy does a little bit of everything, and he does it well. And the one thing he does better than almost anyone in the league who's not Giannis and LeBron is race the ball up the court. And sometimes it looks reckless. Like, Josh Hart, it's a 3-on-4. What are you doing, man? Slow down. But there's value in it. And this was a play from last night. But, where is this leading? It's not going to lead anywhere good. Dante DiVincenzo, you got no angle. But what it does is it sucks the entire defense toward the rim. And there's Bogey. This is what you got him for. There's a method to the madness with Josh Hart. And if there's one guy who epitomizes these Knicks, blue collar, in your face, unrelenting, 48 minutes. It's Josh Hart, one of the great under-the-radar trades of the last 10 years in the NBA is Josh Hart for a low first-round pick. He's changed their entire team. Why are you laughing at me? I'm fired up about Josh Hart.
You tickled my fancy when you said that he's a basketball player. I was like, okay.
He does a little bit of everything. He just feels the game.
When I think about Josh Hart, he is the ultimate utility player, but also with skills that matter most. He might be someone that goes and makes 3 out of 10 threes, but those threes, the timing of those change the tides. Now, when I think about you and saying, there's madness to this Knicks
method to the madness.
There's a method to the madness. I'm transported back to a month ago, March Madness. And we'd always say, in the playoffs, it's the best version of March Madness because you got to win and you want to try to end series and those types of things. There's March Madness and there's March Misery, right? And this ending felt like it was madness. It was a miracle. It was melee in the Garden. But it was misery on the Sixers side because what they have done is they've empowered all other players not named Jalen Brunson. You bought Jalen Brunson time to be able to play better. He's shooting 29% in this series so far. And the thing that made I know we're talking about DiVincenzo and all these hustles, but the confidence that Jalen Brunson has to shoot that ball when that was his first 3 of the game and get that friendly roll, there's something different. There's a method to the madness, but it's also a miracle happening in real time in the Garden.
It feels. Chiney, do you think that Philadelphia is headed for another early exit?
You are being so kind, because I walked into watching that game thinking that if Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey are questionable and they don't play, this is a wrap. Like, it's a really tough circumstance. They play, and then they combine for, I believe, 69 points? They showed up. The problem is, so did the Knicks. And the problem also is, when you have home court advantage, that's where you get the benefit of the doubt. The atmosphere in the Garden was electric. I started off today talking about stargazing with LeBron James. People were stargazing with this finish, maybe the refs included, and that is very frustrating. So Philly, what they showed me is their best players still are giving gargantuan Herculean efforts, and they still fall short, even when Jalen Brunson is able to play his best version of basketball. Now, they are going back home, and we did see good play. I wouldn't write them out, but it just makes it that much harder when the circumstances in which New York won were just like the end of the scouting report, not the start of it.
Right.
I was actually kind of surprised at how positive the 76ers were in their comments after the game, because I thought this was an absolutely devastating loss to have a 5-point lead. By the way, Kyle Lowry missed a free throw with 27 seconds left. That's where it started this. It could have been a 6-point lead, and that's where it started to go bad. I think that's a terribly devastating loss. They seem to have optimism. I don't think it's phony. I think they do. I think it emanates from they like the matchup of Kelly Oubre on Jalen Brunson. That length on him, they seem to think it's going to last. I'm not so sure I believe that. Jalen Brunson has made a career of rising up in the playoffs and overcoming size differential in matchups. I think to be able to not take one of these 2 games with Jalen Brunson playing off is a big disappointment. I think it's going to be very hard for them to beat the Knicks 4 out of 5. But I was impressed with their demeanor. We'll see if it matters.
One thing I was watching going into this game was how Joel Embiid looked, right? He took that hard fall in game 1. He left, came back into the game. Perk, what did you see from him?
Just a warrior. And, you know, when you're watching Joel Embiid right now, the world could see that he's playing on one leg, and he's still giving people these 30 pieces.
Facts.
He has mastered the mid-range. He's mastered almost to a certain extent his jump shot at the top of the three-point line. And when I just think about Joel Embiid and his IQ along with his footwork when he catch the ball, I mean, he's one of one, right? When it comes to offensive bigs, I said this time and time again, I look at Kevin Durant, and then Joel Embiid is right under him when it comes to having that versatile package, and he's still playing below the rim. Even if they lose this series, which I believe they will, I think they're going to lose it in 6, he has gained so much respect from me and others watching him play the game the way he's playing it on one leg.
Embiid is incredible. He's becoming the tragic hero of the NBA, honestly, with all these playoff injuries and how these gut punch losses unfold. But Perk is right. He doesn't look healthy. And I think some of the offensive rebounds that the Knicks are getting are on him because he's just not moving well. Some of them are just, their centers are just getting around him. There's Hartenstein, and like Mitchell Robinson did it a couple of times. This is not the kind of offensive rebound that Joel Embiid, healthy, would normally give up. It's one thing to give up scramble offensive rebounds at random when you're in rotation. This is just big guys outmaneuvering him, a guy who normally outmaneuvers them. And that's kind of why I appreciate the optimism.
Okay.
It's hard for me to see this team with him in this state beating a team as relentless as the Knicks, 4-5. And I just want to say 2 more things. Number one, Tyrese Maxey is a star. He is all about this moment and all about this stage. What he did last night, including 3 huge buckets down the stretch while playing through an illness, was monster star stuff. And you got to go back to the trade deadline because they're talking about, Chiney talked about how the big 2 for Philly have shown up and the New York supporting cast is outplaying Philly's supporting cast. At the trade deadline, Joel Embiid was injured. And they made a big stink in Philly, not a big stink, but they talked about how they got all these draft picks for James Harden and they could potentially use them to reload. They ended up mostly standing pat. They made a small deal for Buddy Hield. I don't know if it was Embiid had them in a holding pattern because they didn't know if he was going to be healthy for the postseason. Maybe they just want to save all their stuff for the summer when they have cap space. But they're kind of paying the price for that. I don't want to call it inaction, but for the decision or move not made at the trade deadline. Maybe there was no move, but they're paying the price for it now.
Well, Joel Embiid, now the series, it shifts back to Philadelphia. He says that he still believes that they are going to be the team that walks out of this first round. We'll see. It continues on Thursday.
NBA